President Barack Obama hosted a summit on Wednesday addressing violent extremism. Now he's come under a lot of fire from conservatives who are bashing him for his reluctance to use words like Islam, Muslim, even jihadist when describing the threat from terror groups like al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. The president made it clear that the U.S. is not at war with Islam rather than those who perverted the religion. He also said that military force alone will not defeat the terrorism and that the nation must work with local communities to reduce the influence of those who advocate violent extremism. Hey, Melissa, why do you think conservatives care so much about making sure that it's Muslims being addressed here? Because we know that the religion itself doesn't praise these kinds of things. These guys are claiming to be Muslims, but they're kind of going against everything the religion really teaches and talks about, aren't they?
I think there's a lot of concern that came up around 9/11 and around terrorist attacks, and they wanted to put the blame on someone. So it's easy to divert the blame, but this does touch home for Obama, because when he was running for office during his elections, everyone was saying, oh, he's Muslim, oh, he's black. They couldn't figure out where he stood. So I think this is a great opportunity for him to really put his feet in the ground and, ride this home and say, we can't be doing this anymore. We need to try and create a neutral ground for this matter, because terrorism can happen in any religion. Anybody can be a bad person in any religion. Yeah,
and that's kind of the point that he stressed, saying that we are not at a war with Islam, One really interesting thing, look, why do they want to say that it's Muslim? I think one retired colonel from the army said something like, you can't fight a war if the enemy is if you don't know who the enemy is, if it's some imaginary enemy. It's like, I don't understand what they're getting from pinning it on any specific religion, because we know that around the world, most of the people affected by terrorism, most of the deaths that occur are Muslim people in Muslim countries. So if anything, it's offensive. And what it does is it breeds this homegrown feeling for Muslims who are American, because there's just as many Americans who are Muslims in the world as there are in any other country, except obviously the Middle East. But that grows, that makes space for these guys getting pissed off and then eventually going to fight in ISIS. And that was one of the things that he was addressing, was domestic terrorism.
Yeah, I think, there are certain religions that have these almost these opportunities for, so to speak, death pacts. And they have this mentality that, okay, we need to abolish and get rid of other religions, other people, and that's, the conservatives believe that, and that's, so they're using that mentality and that judgment, and they're portraying judgment on certain religions, Muslims, other parties, and they're diverting the attention.
Yeah, and it's I feel like one thing that people really get on Americans for is ignorance about the rest of the world and not knowing about other countries and things like that. And it's this is exactly what it's doing. It's grouping, all Muslims are terrorists. The terrorists are Muslim. Why shouldn't you mention that? And it's well, that's not the point here. And it's that's why Americans are always made fun of. If you've traveled as an American, if you've lived in another country as an expat, and you're American, you hear what people think about your country, people who've never been there before, and it's always the same kind of stuff. You couldn't, with your chubby, greasy fingers from all those french fries, you couldn't point any country on the map. And it's that's exactly how these conservatives are looking at a lot of things when they say that you need to say that they're Muslim. And it's Obama's completely trying to change that vision and give it a fresh new start. You know what I mean?
I think it's a great opportunity. You're right. I mean, Americans travel to other countries, they're putting Canadian flags on their bags because they don't want to admit they're American. It's almost putting themselves in danger to admit that they're American.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think Obama's doing right by dropping words like Islam and Muslim and dropping them away from association with terms like terrorism? Let us know what you guys think by liking and subscribing to The Lip. Thank you for watching.